Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the bold and visionary leader of Burkina Faso, has once again stunned the world with a groundbreaking move that is sending shockwaves across Africa and beyond. In a dramatic and unexpected development, Traoré has announced the launch of one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in West Africa's history, a massive, transformative canal system aimed at revolutionizing agriculture, water distribution, and regional trade. What makes this project even more astonishing is that it's being built entirely without support from Western institutions like the IMF, USAID, or the European Union. This announcement comes at a time when Burkina Faso and its Sahelian neighbors have been increasingly rejecting foreign influence in their political, military, and economic affairs. Traoré's latest move signals a bold new chapter, not just for Burkina Faso, but for an emerging Pan-African order grounded in sovereignty, self-reliance, and regional solidarity. The canal, tentatively named the Sahel Development Canal, will stretch across multiple regions of Burkina Faso, channeling water from strategic reservoirs and seasonal rivers to arid and semi-arid areas that are historically prone to drought. The purpose is clear: to ensure water security, boost food production, empower farmers, and create a sustainable foundation for industrial agriculture. But this is not merely about irrigation, it's about freedom. Freedom from dependency. Freedom from the conditions that come with Western aid. Freedom to chart a development path on African terms. Ibrahim Traoré has made it clear: no Western involvement will be accepted in this mega project. That includes funding, consultancy, engineering assistance, or so-called technical advisors. Instead, the canal will be built by Africans, for Africans, leveraging local talent, regional cooperation, and resources from partner countries like Mali and Niger, who are part of the Alliance of Sahel states. Traoré's administration has even signed agreements with engineers and hydrologists from Algeria, Iran, and Turkey, bypassing Western pipelines entirely. Critics in the West are already calling the move reckless, unrealistic, or symbolic. But Traoré's track record suggests otherwise. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso has not only fought off terrorism and foreign meddling, but it has also invested heavily in agriculture, education, and renewable energy. His government has created state-owned enterprises to replace foreign contractors, and is building a parallel economic model that doesn't depend on the neoliberal frameworks imposed by the IMF or World Bank. In his recent public address, Traoré declared, "We will no longer beg, we will build." Our ancestors irrigated these lands before colonization. We will revive that spirit not with the money of our former colonizers, but with the hands and courage of our own people. This canal will be a river of independence. According to the initial blueprint, the Sahel Development Canal will cover over 750 kilometers in total length, with multiple offshoots designed to reach Burkina Faso's most water-starved provinces. It will use a combination of gravity-based flow systems, solar-powered pumping stations, and rainwater harvesting integration. In its first phase, it aims to irrigate over 500,000 hectares of farmland, benefiting more than 1.5 million people directly and generating employment for tens of thousands. But the canal is not just a symbol of defiance. It's an economic multiplier. Officials estimate that once fully operational, the canal could increase Burkina Faso's agricultural output by at least 40% within 5 years. Staple crops like millet, sorghum, maize, and rice will flourish in areas that were once abandoned due to drought. The government also plans to build processing factories and storage facilities alongside the canal to promote agro-industry and reduce post-harvest losses. Interestingly, Many ordinary citizens have volunteered to take part in the project. Villagers from the Bukal du Mahoun, Nord, and Sahel regions have formed community brigades to help dig sections of the canal, remove debris, and support engineers with logistics. The project has ignited a spirit of unity and national pride that hasn't been seen in decades. Meanwhile, Western media outlets have reacted with predictable skepticism. Editorials from prominent publications in France and the U.S. have described the canal project as a populist fantasy and a geopolitical stunt. But such narratives only expose the deep discomfort that Traoré's independence causes among the former colonial powers. What they fail to understand is that this canal is not just about water, it's about liberation. It's about a country rising from the ashes of neocolonialism and saying, enough. Internationally, many African leaders have taken notice. Mali's Colonel Assimi Goïta and Niger's General Abdourahmane Chiani have both pledged support for the canal project, hinting at possible cross-border expansion in the future. There are even whispers of a Pan-African water corridor linking the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea, enabling trade and energy cooperation that could transform the entire sub-region. China, Russia, and Iran have quietly expressed interest in contributing technical knowledge, but under Traoré's strict condition that no country will dictate terms or compromise Burkina Faso's sovereignty. In this way, the project stands as a model for non-aligned development, a third path that rejects both Western neoliberalism and neocolonial dependency, choosing instead a road rooted in dignity, identity, and self-determination. In the words of one Burkina farmer who watched the first excavators break ground, we've been waiting for water. Now we are digging our future. This canal is more than infrastructure. It is a revolution in concrete and water, in engineering and willpower. It's a message to every African nation still waiting on foreign aid. The future does not have to be borrowed. It can be built with courage, unity, and vision. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré has just laid the first stone. Days after the historic canal announcement, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has ignited global debate once again, this time with a bold declaration to nationalize all gold mines operating under foreign contracts in Burkina Faso. This unexpected move is aimed at reclaiming the country's most valuable natural resource from decades of exploitation by Western mining corporations. For years, multinational companies from Canada, Australia, the UK, and France have profited immensely from Burkina Faso's rich gold deposits, while the country itself, despite being one of Africa's top gold producers, remained among the world's poorest nations. Traoré is now putting an end to that imbalance. In a live national address, Traoré stated, "Greater than gold belongs to the people. For too long, outsiders have dug our soil, filled their banks, and left our children in poverty. That era is over." He went on to announce the immediate revocation of multiple mining licenses held by foreign companies that failed to meet the new national standards for transparency, fair wages, environmental protection, and local reinvestment. In their place, Traoré's government will establish a state-owned mining company under full Burkinabe control, with profits directed toward national infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The gold sector nationalization is not just a political move, it's a financial revolution. Reports estimate that Burkina Faso has been losing upwards of $1.5 billion annually in unfair gold contracts and tax avoidance schemes by foreign operators. Traoré's plan would redirect those revenues directly into the national treasury. Western governments were quick to react. Several embassies released statements expressing concern over investor security and the business climate. But on the ground in Burkina Faso, people are celebrating. In mining towns like Hound and Essakane, local workers marched in support of the nationalization, holding banners reading "Our Gold, Our Future." Traoré's administration has also pledged to clean up the environmental damage left behind by foreign companies. Entire communities near mining zones have suffered from water pollution, deforestation, and health issues previously ignored by foreign-run operations focused solely on extraction. With nationalization, the government plans to implement strict ecological standards and fund long-overdue reclamation projects. Interestingly, several African countries have quietly expressed interest in Traoré's approach. Rumors suggest that Mali and Niger, both of which also sit on vast gold reserves, are studying Burkina Faso's model closely. A new gold-backed alliance between these nations may emerge, potentially creating a pan-Sahelian mining bloc free from Western exploitation. Meanwhile, Traoré has made it clear that any future foreign investment in the mining sector will be on Burkinabe terms, with the state owning a controlling share. Full transparency required and no special privileges allowed. "We will no longer be guests in our own land," he said. Global markets have already felt the shock. Several major mining stocks dropped following the news, while analysts in Paris and London nervously warned of a new era of resource nationalism spreading across Africa. But to many Africans, that phrase sounds more like liberation than a threat. In just a few months, Ibrahim Traoré has moved from being seen as a transitional military leader to the face of a new African defiance, one that refuses to accept poverty in a land of plenty. As one young Burkinabe activist put it on national TV, "Greater than they took our gold and gave us loans. Now we take our gold and build our future." The world is watching. Africa is waking up. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré is. This nationalization, combined with the canal project, signals a dramatic realignment of Burkina Faso's development philosophy: sovereign control of natural resources, infrastructure built without Western aid, and policies driven by the needs of the people, not the profits of outsiders. In just a few months, Ibrahim Traoré has moved from being seen as a transitional military leader to the face of a new African defiance, one that refuses to accept poverty in a land of plenty. As one young Burkinabe activist put it on national TV, "Greater than, they took our gold and gave us loans. Now we take our gold and build our future." The world is watching. Africa is waking up. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré is leading the charge. In yet another move that has stunned the international community, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has announced the creation of Burkina Faso's first-ever state-run military technology and defense production facility, aimed at ending the country's reliance on foreign weapons imports and launching a new era of African-made defense innovation. The announcement came during a high-profile military parade in Ouagadougou, where Traoré, dressed in full combat uniform, stood before the nation's armed forces and declared, "Greater than, our sovereignty is incomplete if our weapons come from others. Burkina Faso will now build the tools to defend its own soil." The new facility, to be named Centre de Souveraineté Défensive du Faso, CSDF, will be constructed in collaboration with strategic partners who are not aligned with Western military-industrial complexes. These include Iran, Russia, and Turkey, with whom Traoré's administration has been quietly deepening ties over the past year. Engineers from these nations will assist in the initial design and training, while the long-term goal is to transition all development and production to fully Burkinabe hands. This defense complex will include a drone manufacturing division for surveillance and tactical operations, small arms and light weapon assembly lines for the military and security forces, an ammunition production unit to ensure a steady, self-controlled supply, a research and development lab to study battlefield innovation suited to the Sahelian terrain, and a military training academy for next-generation engineers and defense strategists, but this is not just about war. According to Traoré, it's about peace through strength. For decades, Burkina Faso has depended on donations or purchases from foreign powers, many of whom imposed political strings in exchange for hardware. This dependency, Traoré argues, not only endangered national security but also weakened morale and limited military strategy. With this new initiative, the country will produce customized defense equipment tailored to the realities of guerrilla warfare, desert patrol, and anti-insurgency operations in the Sahel. This bold move has rattled several Western capitals. France, in particular, has expressed deep concern, suggesting the weapons facility could destabilize the region. But supporters of Traoré argue the opposite, that this is precisely the kind of self-reliant security structure needed to ensure lasting peace in a region ravaged by externally backed insurgencies and failed foreign interventions. In fact, the defense facility is not just national in scope. In a press conference following the announcement, Traoré revealed plans to offer military equipment and training support to fellow Sahel nations, particularly Mali and Niger, who have faced similar security threats. He envisions a joint Sahel defense pact built not on dependence on NATO or U.S. bases, but on African resilience and collaboration, greater than they arm terrorists to keep us weak, Traoré said. We will now arm ourselves to make peace possible. He also stressed that Burkina Faso's defense industry will not pursue offensive aggression, but will be used to defend sovereignty, protect borders, and eliminate terrorism, especially the types that have long been fueled, he claims, by covert operations and weapons dumps from foreign powers. Local reaction has been overwhelming. Veterans, military families, and youth organizations have celebrated the plan. Recruitment into technical and engineering programs has spiked, with young Burkina students inspired to study mechanics, material science, and drone technology. Schools across the country are launching special defense tech modules to feed talent into the new complex. Traoré's government has also initiated a strict code of ethics for the weapons industry, banning exports to foreign states, unless authorized through a Pan-African Defense Council, and strictly prohibiting arms sales that could fuel internal conflicts or insurgencies. What's clear is that this is more than a weapons plant, it's a national transformation project, one that unites education, industry, defense, and sovereignty under a single banner. In the words of a Burkinabe colonel involved in the planning, this is how we ensure we're never colonized again. Not by troops, not by hunger, and not by fear. As Burkina Faso lays the first bricks of its new defense future, Captain Ibrahim Traoré is once again proving that true independence means building, not borrowing your power. And once again, the world watches as Burkina Faso writes its own chapter in the story of African liberation. In another dramatic move that redefines leadership in Africa, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has officially launched a revolutionary digital currency system, making Burkina Faso the first country in West Africa to adopt a sovereign, blockchain-based national currency completely independent of the CFA franc and foreign-controlled financial institutions. The new currency, named Faso, will be fully digital, secured by a nationally developed blockchain network, and designed to liberate the Burkinabe economy from the grip of the French-backed CFA franc, which has long been criticized as a colonial tool of economic control. Asterisk in a historic televised address, Traoré said, asterisk, the CFA franc is a chain disguised as money. We now break those chains with the Faso. It is our own currency, on our own system, for our own people. The Faso digital currency will be, backed by Burkina Faso's gold reserves, agricultural output, and state-controlled mineral wealth asterisk accessible via smartphones, even in remote villages, using a secure and simplified national app asterisk, free from transaction. Fees within national borders designed to operate offline in areas with low connectivity integrated with national ID and biometric systems to prevent fraud asterisk. This bold financial revolution comes at a time when Traoré's administration is doubling down on economic sovereignty, rejecting IMF debt cycles and external monetary manipulation. For decades, the CFA franc has allowed France and the EU to control the monetary policy of 14 African countries, stifling industrial growth, controlling interest rates, and draining reserves. The introduction of the Faso ends this chapter for Burkina Faso. Asterisk to ensure rapid adoption. Traoré's government has declared that all government salaries, social support payments, and state contracts will now be paid in Faso, starting with civil servants and the military. Markets across the country have already begun preparing for the transition, with merchants receiving training on how to use the digital system. Asterisk notably, the Faso currency is being developed entirely in-house with the help of a newly formed national digital sovereignty committee composed of local engineers, cybersecurity experts, economists, and a few independent African tech partners. Traoré has explicitly banned the involvement of Western tech companies or financial advisors, citing the risk of hidden surveillance and backdoor control. Asterisk. We will not free our land, only to hand our data and money to new masters, he warned. Asterisk. Digital independence is the next frontier of liberation. Asterisk. The rollout of Faso has already triggered alarm bells in global financial circles. The French Treasury has called it a reckless experiment, while officials from the European Central Bank warn that it could destabilize regional monetary cooperation. But in Burkina Faso, the mood is entirely different. Citizens have taken to social media with hashtags like #FasoForFreedom and #ByeByeCFA, celebrating the end of what they call economic slavery. Asterisk. Protect against inflation or market manipulation, the Faso will operate with a fixed base supply, adjustable only by a publicly visible algorithm under the control of a National Monetary Council made up of elected citizens, economists, and regional elders. This means no shadow printing of money, no arbitrary interest rate changes, and no external influence. Asterisk. Additionally, the new system will include asterisk a digital wallet for every citizen, tied to their national IDEA Youth Crypto Scholarship Program, to train the next generation in blockchain, coding, and digital finance. Asterisk. A cross-border pilot initiative with Mali and Niger, who are reportedly considering adopting Faso in the future as a shared Sahel digital currency. Asterisk. This initiative is already transforming public perception of the state. Farmers, students, traders, and small entrepreneurs are beginning to see themselves not just as workers in an economy, but as owners of an independent financial destiny. The government has pledged that every Burkinabe will receive an initial $25,000 in Faso for free equivalent to a stimulus injection just for registering their wallet and attending training on its use. In the words of a young street vendor from Bobo Dioulasso, asterisk greater than before. My money was controlled in Paris. Now it's in my hand, on my phone, and for my future. Analysts say this bold move may inspire a domino effect across Francophone Africa. If successful, the Faso could be the first crack in the CFA's foundation, and with it, the beginning of the end for France's economic grip on West Africa. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is once again redefining leadership, not just through speeches but through tangible, radical action. With the launch of Faso, he's not just giving Burkina Faso a new currency, he's giving it economic dignity. And with every step, the world watches while the people of Africa begin to dream not just of freedom, but of ownership. Just when the world thought Captain Ibrahim Traoré had reached the limits of bold governance, he delivered another thunderous announcement. Burkina Faso will launch its first national satellite into orbit by 2027, marking the beginning of the country's entry into the space and advanced communications era without any assistance from the West. This project, named Project Nabaya, which means freedom, in a local language, will see the creation of Burkina Faso's first space program, with the ambitious goal of building, launching, and managing a domestically owned satellite dedicated to communications, meteorology, border surveillance, and agricultural planning. In a nationally broadcast speech, Traoré addressed the youth and scientific community, stating, greater than Africa must stop looking only at the ground beneath us. It's time we look to the skies. We will not rent space in the heavens, we will own it. This is not a symbolic gesture, it's a calculated strategic move. The satellite will serve several critical national functions. Secure communication, channels for the military and government agencies, real-time weather and climate monitoring to boost agricultural resilience, advanced mapping for resource management, including gold, water, and soil fertility, surveillance of border regions to combat terrorism and illegal mining, educational support, including remote learning in rural regions. What makes this even more remarkable is Traoré's insistence on rejecting Western aerospace contractors, who have historically dominated African satellite launches under exploitative terms. Instead, Burkina Faso is partnering with space engineers from Algeria, Iran, and India, while simultaneously building its first Aerospace and Satellite Development Institute, ASTI, in Ouagadougou. This institute will train young Burkinabé in satellite design, coding, and aeronautics. Host collaborative labs for robotics, telemetry, and AI integration work toward full local autonomy in satellite maintenance and future launches. Promote scientific research driven by African realities, not foreign agendas. Traoré emphasized that this project is not about competition, but technological dignity. He criticized how African data, imagery, and communications are still largely routed through Western satellites and servers. He made it clear that Burkina Faso's data belongs to Burkina Faso and no longer will strategic national information be stored or monitored by external powers. Already, the project is gaining traction among the population. University students have launched science clubs focused on space technologies. Schools across the country are integrating astronomy, physics, and computer science into their core curriculum. Several local engineers have returned from abroad, inspired by the opportunity to work on a truly sovereign scientific endeavor. Traoré's administration has allocated $85 million from gold and agricultural export revenues to the initial phase of the project, including construction of the National Satellite Control Center, hiring of international advisors, non-Western, for technical assistance, scholarships for students to study aerospace in Iran, China, and India, the design of Burkina Faso's first CubeSat, a small, efficient satellite model, Project Nabaya's first goal is to put a Burkina-built CubeSat in low Earth orbit within 2 years, followed by a more advanced satellite capable of multifunctional operations by 2027. Long-term plans even include the possibility of joining or forming a Pan-African Space Alliance in collaboration with Mali, Niger, and Guinea. Western reaction has ranged from disbelief to mockery. Certain outlets have ridiculed the idea, calling it science fiction in the desert. But Traoré hit back with calm resolve. Greater than the same people who mocked us when we talked of canals, gold nationalization, and digital currency now see us building. Let them laugh, we will launch. This initiative is already reshaping the image of Burkina Faso from a struggling Sahel nation to a symbol of African potential and scientific defiance. More importantly, it's giving the youth a mission greater than survival, a dream of innovation, pride, and global relevance. A young physics student from the University of Ouagadougou put it beautifully, greater than, for the first time, we are not being trained to serve someone else's empire. We are building our own path to the stars. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is once again reminding the world that independence isn't just about borders, it's about minds, tools, and vision. And now, with the satellite project on the horizon, Burkina Faso is reaching for the sky on its own. In another groundbreaking move that has captured the attention of the entire African continent, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has announced the complete overhaul of Burkina Faso's education system, declaring the end of colonial-era curricula and the birth of a new Pan-African, sovereignty-centered educational model designed to liberate the minds of future generations. The reform, named Project Sanker, inspired by the legendary West African University of Timbuktu, aims to decolonize every level of education from kindergarten to university and rebuild the system based on African knowledge systems, national identity, self-reliance, and practical skills. Standing before a cheering crowd of teachers, students, and community elders in Koudougou, Traoré said, the classroom has been our invisible battlefield. For decades, our children learned more about the kings of Europe than the empires of Africa. That ends now. We are rewriting our textbooks, our future, and our freedom. Under Project Sanker, the following revolutionary changes will be implemented. French colonial curricula will be replaced with programs that teach African history, revolutionary leaders, local heroes, anti-colonial struggles, and the wisdom of traditional knowledge systems. Practical skills like agriculture, construction, coding, herbal medicine, solar engineering, and community economics will become core subjects. New textbooks are being written by Burkinabe scholars, griots, elders, and historians, not foreign publishers. National languages, including Moor, Dioula, and Fulfold, will be used alongside French, empowering students to learn in their mother tongues while still preparing them for global interaction. A mandatory sovereignty studies course will be introduced in all schools, teaching students about neocolonialism, economic self-defense, Pan-Africanism, and political literacy from an early age. Students will be taught about Burkina Faso's own heroes, including Thomas Sankara, and modern-day leaders like Traoré himself. To accelerate this transformation, Traoré has ordered the construction of 500 new schools across rural areas, with a focus on technology-equipped, solar-powered classrooms. He's also launching the Teach for Burkina initiative, calling on educated youth and university graduates to serve as teachers in underserved regions, backed by national incentives, free housing, and stipends. One of the most radical parts of the reform is the abolishment of foreign-run, international schools that promote elitist values and divide Burkina society. These institutions, often reserved for the children of diplomats and NGO workers, have been ordered to either conform to the national curriculum or cease operations within 2 years. Asterisk. In response to questions from international observers, Traoré stated clearly, asterisk, if they fear our children learning their true history, then they fear freedom. We are not raising servants for the West, we are raising builders of Africa. Asterisk already, the announcement is causing waves across Francophone Africa. Youth movements in Mali, Niger, and Guinea are demanding similar reforms. In fact, education ministers from the Alliance of Sahel states are planning a joint conference in Ouagadougou to explore a common Sahelian education system with shared textbooks, university exchanges, and cultural curricula. Asterisk. Traoré's government is also investing in film, art, and storytelling, commissioning thousands of locally produced educational videos, cartoons, and songs to replace outdated foreign media in schools. Traditional musicians, poets, and village elders will be brought into classrooms to pass down oral histories that have been erased by colonial education. Asterisk. At the University of Ouagadougou, a new Institute for Intellectual Liberation is being launched. Its mission: to train a generation of educators who not only teach but resist indoctrination, uphold national values, and push back against neo-colonial narratives embedded in global academia. Western reaction, as expected, has been swift. Former colonial powers like France have issued vague warnings about educational isolationism and the loss of international standards. But for Burkina parents, the move is long overdue. As one mother in Fata Ngorma said, asterisk greater than, my son can name every French king, but he didn't know who Sankara was until last year. That is a crime. Traoré is correcting it. Asterisk. And for students, the response has been emotional. A 17-year-old student in Wahiguya shared, asterisk, we always felt something was missing in school. Now I know it was us. We were missing, but now we are at the center. Asterisk. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has once again shown that true revolution begins not only with soldiers and speeches, but with what a child learns when they open a book. Asterisk. By seizing control of education. Burkina Faso is not just shaping students. It is shaping a future free from mental colonization, where African youth grow up proud, powerful, and prepared to lead. Asterisk. And with every chalk stroke, every rewritten lesson, Burkina Faso teaches the world what real freedom looks like. Asterisk. In yet another astonishing turn that reaffirms his bold break from the old world order, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has announced the formation of Burkina Faso's first National Farmers' Army, a fully funded, government-backed corps made up of young volunteers trained not for war, but for large-scale agricultural transformation. Asterisk. The initiative, called Green Shield of the Nation, is unlike anything the region has ever seen. It unites national service, food security, climate resilience, and land reform into one single, revolutionary strategy designed to make Burkina Faso completely self-sufficient in food production within 5 years. Asterisk. In a powerful address delivered while standing barefoot in a field outside Kaya, surrounded by tractors and farmers, Traoré declared, asterisk greater than, the true soldier is not only the one who defends the land with arms, but the one who feeds the nation with their hands. If we can train men to march for war, we can train them to march into the soil and grow. Here's how the Green Shield works. Every year, 100,000 youth between the ages of 18 and 30 will be recruited into a 1-year service program, where they will be trained in sustainable farming, irrigation systems, soil health, and seed science, agroforestry. and climate-resilient agriculture cooperatives and food logistics. These recruits will be provided with a monthly stipend, land access and tools, and will work on state-run farms, reclaimed lands, and community food projects. The program will be managed jointly by the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the newly created Ministry of Food Sovereignty. But this is not just about farming, it's about reclaiming stolen land. For decades, vast tracts of Burkina Faso's arable land were left idle, mismanaged by corrupt elites, or even leased to foreign agribusiness firms. Now, under Traoré's new Land to the People decree, all unused land held by absentee landlords or foreign speculators will be seized and redistributed to the Green Shield program and local cooperatives. Over 3 million hectares have already been earmarked for cultivation under this policy, with the first phase focusing on staple crops such as millet, sorghum, maize, yams, rice, and cowpeas, as well as fast-growing fruit trees and medicinal plants. What makes the Green Shield so unique is that it's military in spirit but peaceful in purpose. Members wear uniforms, live in structured camps, and follow a disciplined routine, but instead of guns, they carry shovels, drones for crop surveillance, and solar-powered irrigation kits. Captain Traoré has emphasized that this is not forced conscription but a patriotic choice and opportunity for young Burkinabé to serve their country, build its future, and gain ownership of land and skills in return. After completing their 1-year service, each participant will receive a Certificate of National Service, ownership rights to 1 hectare of fertile land *, microloans to start their own farms or agribusinesses *, priority access to state contracts, seed banks, and farming technology *, the long-term goal? Not just food self-sufficiency, but the creation of a powerful, youth-driven agricultural economy that replaces imports, resists sanctions, and turns Burkina Faso into a regional food powerhouse. Already, over 150,000 young people have applied to join the first cohort, with camps being rapidly built in regions like Centre Nord, Est, and Boucle du Mahon. Universities are adding agronomy and food sciences programs at record speed. Soldiers returning from front lines are volunteering to teach farming techniques and organize logistics for supply chains. And local elders are being invited to share indigenous farming wisdom alongside modern techniques. Western media, once again, has scoffed at the plan, calling it romantic populism and militarized agriculture. But inside Burkina Faso, the Green Shield is being hailed as a cultural renaissance. Schools are singing songs about the new farmers. Artists are painting murals of youth in uniform sowing seeds. And markets are preparing for a new era of domestic abundance. 22-year-old recruit, fresh out of university, said on national television, "They told us we would never have land, that we depend on imports, that Africa must beg for food, but now I hold the soil in my hands. I serve my country and I feed my people." With the Green Shield, Traoré is sending a clear message. The battlefield has shifted from colonial borders to breadbaskets. From control through famine to freedom through food. This is not just another policy. It's a movement, one that turns farmers into heroes, land into a weapon of sovereignty, and agriculture into an act of national defense. Once again, the world watches. And once again, Burkina Faso digs deeper, not just into its soil, but into its soul.